he despised his birthright. So the person received his birthright, now he despises him, and not only him, but the inheritors of that birthright. Now, later Esau married into the Ishmaelites, so the two have now become one family. Therefore, listen at this, the distinction between the Arabs and the Egyptians is now difficult to understand. Why is it difficult to understand? Because they have shed, we find the evidence, fought these, and then guess what? You better be prepared to fight them again. Understand the time that we're in, and that we better prepare, because it is truly around the corner. Blow off, or that we could just dismiss, it's not going to happen. Wars were not offensive in nature, but defensive. Now, it's important that we understand that they were not even defending a land during Moshe's time. Identity was at stake. The reason this is important for us to understand, because if we've been watching current news, or we've been trying to watch to understand. Over in Zambia. If you know anything about what's going on over in Zambia, then you would know these are things that are happening to our people. There are so many funny. Now, one of the things I want to read as well, because we're going to talk about the time for your sins. Now, you got to understand something. We must understand what's going on, why it's going on, and what else is going to happen. Because I listen and you try to, or you've tried to, and you continue to try to convince Mishpakai and others, y'all, that we are the people, and y'all, it's not one of those things that you have a choice. People. And so, you know, to be rejected, if anybody understands a person, and sometimes the length a person will go through being jealous. Okay, let's go. I want to read that to you. And the verse 15. Verse 15. For Yahuwah your power is a jealous power among you. Let writing serve. And whether you want to accept it or not, these are, and he's going to, as a nation, if he chapter 26, 18, ahead like we're supposed to. Once again, we're equal 26 and 18. And if ye will not yet for all this hearken unto me, then I will punish you 7 times for your sins. What are the sins? What is sin? Sin is transgression. Now, many times when we hear that, we start thinking, well, when it's all said and done, how is that going to be so? We know what will be some of the things. See, most of the time we want to run away, and we feel like, well, we won't be punished. And it's and I say this to those that are that may be watching that are in Christianity. This is, you have to truly begin concerning who we are and what it is he requires of us as a people. This writing, or the Bible, which we have to understand it to be, but the writings of Abba Yahuwah are for his people and his people only. I know that is hard for many people to digest and to grab, you know, to grab a hold of, because we've been so indoctrinated into believing that it's for everybody. Isn't it amazing that when you are giving people you may know and desire to bring in, if they don't get that letter, it is not for them? Right. But we try to bring people in because we feel like, well, it should be for everybody. It is not for everybody. It is conditioned for the children, the nation, and we as a people better. Generation does not adhere and does not conform and does not come into the truth. Guess what? That timetable is adding up. That's 7 times 70 is constantly adding up. You must understand something. We've got it in this hour. We've got to be that light, and we've got to be that generation that constantly and continue to wear CCs. It is not enough, but we've got to declare through our life living that we are.
God.
We've got to, because if not, then guess what? Nobody's going to recognize and nobody's going to know who we really are.
God.
If we can't see that, and that love is not fleshed out, and people can say, hey, you know what? Those people above all people, they truly do ahab one another.
God.
Until we reach that pivotal point, we are still missing it. To squander, have time to splurge.
God. God.
It is important that we understand. But I wanted to share this as we get ready to get into the Sharia law. Those of you that watch our Shabbat classes, this is what I've been talking about. The end time beast. We understand, according to when you go into Revelations and you read Revelations chapter 13, and you begin to try to decipher and understand what's going on. It is important that we have the right material to flesh out the book of Revelations, because without that, guess what? We are just trying to decode and decipher a book without any type of extra information to help us to understand what we are dealing with. And you must understand, again, we've already been told that we're dealing with an ancient hatred. In other words, this is family. These are cousins that hate us. But we've been so is where I'm looking, taking place right up under our noses, that are going to affect us in so many ways that it's not even funny.
God.
We've been so inundated with so much other stuff that we're not watching the things that are taking place right up under our noses. Now, I know many of you might have been, maybe, and I pray you have, slowly but surely, things are starting to really unravel. If you, all the spending that's taking place, how inflation is hitting us, and many people don't believe, but every time you go to the store, if you spend, seeing things that, if you're paying attention, you're seeing prices jump up overnight. Whereas if you go the day before and buy something, guess what? You may pay maybe $2. The next day you go, it may be $3. And that is the truth. You're aware, then what are we going to do when these things come upon us? We will be ill prepared. Once again, I understand this is not popular, because we don't want to hear about that. Who wants to hear about, laws being put in place that's going to affect us? We already are being affected by the laws that are already at hand for your sin. So for every generation and all this that's not, people are still sitting and our people are still doing this. The multiplication is just adding up. It's still being added. Remember, from the time our ancestors messed up to where we are now, that's a lot to pay.
God.
That is a lot to pay. So it's important to understand where we are. What can we do to prepare ourselves? First of all, stay in truth, be in our people. As I was saying earlier, in Zambia, if you've been watching the news, or if not, I would encourage you to check out what's going on over in Zambia. Zambia now is primarily, listen to what I'm about to say, primarily Chinese. They have taken it over. They have taken over to the point where our people have truly, they're complaining, they're suffering over there because of this that's going on. Jobs, homes, they're losing a lot of stuff over there. And they've come over there and they basically plastered their name, their language all over the place. Chapter 28 says, you sit here and tell me being affected by this because they are disobedient. They're disobedient, y'all. So what does that say? That means for their disobedience that we're going to suffer. Watch this. Over there, they have the copper mines. They have everything basically. They've gotten land. The people are still over there suffering, and they are basically, I will say, slavery all over again. They're in slavery, and they're working, and they're doing anything, and the people are complaining and complaining. You equate that to? That's not just something that's coincidence and something that's just happening. No, these are things that you're finding that slavery is still very prevalent, y'all. It people, when you hear a grown man says, we have no freedom here, we are treated as slaves, because watch this, the Muslims, because it is a Muslim state and it is policed by Muslims, a country. It is policed by Muslims. Are y'all following me? So now with this going on, you have to, somebody would say, what does that have to do with us? Do you think that, and we are still being disobedient, we still want a hobble, still want to walk in unity like we're supposed to, and you think we're going to get by without experiencing some of these things as well? I don't think so. I don't think so. Y'all, it's time business. And his business doesn't mean that we are supposed to disassociate ourselves from one another, but we are to come together and support one another. We are to come together and fight for one another. Now understand something. We ain't on Facebook trying to hustle people. We ain't on Facebook trying to little people. We ain't on Facebook trying to do those things that don't bring forth equality and try to help one another and try to support one another, but integrity enough to say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. And if we have differences, deal with our differences in a manner. If we could deal with it in privacy, do so. If we have to take it before the people, then take it before elders. Real elders. Don't just get it out there and be backwards and forth with one another, y'all, because that does not do us a service at all. At all. Right. So it's important that we understand these things that are going on. Like I say, I know it is not popular. I know it's not. Why? Because we think that we got years. I know, I'm sure many of you didn't even know and probably don't know it's already active here in America. That's somebody right. Said, well, what's the Sharia law? I'm glad you asked, because that's why I said all what I said to bring us to this place. Now, you must understand that the Abba has already listening once again to the media. You know that our people are still getting lynched, and it's been hidden, and nobody's saying anything about it. Lynched, and our people are, it's just ruled out as suicide or something else foolish. And yet we continue to go on with life as though nothing is happening. Y'all, the Abba is speaking, but are we listening? There are villages and being wiped out. Being wiped out. We are here, and there'll be 2 or 3 people, and I'm not minimizing it by no means, because that's somebody's husband, somebody's brother, somebody's son that got lynched. And listening to what he's saying, or have we turned a deaf ear? Have we gotten so spoiled over here, and have we gotten so complacent and content that we don't believe Chinese fishing factory because of the inequality? They're not giving never. But this is the thing that I want to talk about, is this Sharia law. Why is the Sharia law important to us? Because you have to understand, these are the people, when it all boils down to, when all the smoke Yes, we deal with European folk, white folk, races. And once again, I'm not minimizing it.
God.
You must understand, once again, the time when we did and all that great stuff. Why is that important? Because you must understand, he who owns, those that own or have that power now are able to assert their laws into our laws. Then guess what happens when they assert their laws, which, watch this, their laws are geared and created to treat against us as a people. Now, someone may say, well, that's kind of that's really you really, putting that out there. That's really kind of a bold statement. It's not a bold statement, it's true. You must understand that hatred against all of us.
God.
And no matter how we try to deny it, you cannot deny it.
That's right.
You Muslims make on are asked to give up a room for North Carolina, and she a what was it, a council meeting in City Hall, and she went and demanded that they stop praying, that they stop praying in the name of the Greek and the Greek god Jesus. They went in, and guess what? She was
right.
Why not go in there and tell them you can't bring that over here? Because they know better. They know better. So have you ever seen movies and stuff going on and notice that they'll stop a movie? I mean, stop a fighting just to give them time to pray? You stop and try to pray, they go blow your behind. And I say that in this manner because you see it in movies, you see it naturally. They can stop whatever is going on. When my ish was in the military, they were given time to pray, and everybody had to stop what they were doing to allow them to pray. Now, y'all, tell me how that is not asserting their authority. That's not our belief. That's their beliefs are not ours.
God.
But because of their authority and because of the Sharia law that demands that. Second thing, when a Muslim wears a headscarf, that is in obedience to the Sharia. Cartoons about Muhammad, you better not. Have you ever noticed they will not report it? They will not report it. But if you go to YouTube, not going to. Saying just because. No, you must understand the Muslims' position and their authority in America. 9/11 happened, and they were talking about in that place. Now, why would they want to build a mosque on where the Twin Towers were destroyed?
Right.
They were considering it. They were considering it. But watch this. Right around the corner, there is a mosque. There's a mosque. You know the mosque is where they go and pray and have their services. That's what they do. Now listen at this. The attack on the world jihad found in the Sharia. The Sharia is the basis for the religious, political, and cultural life for all Muslims. Any sense? How is it that I'm convicted? I kill somebody or do something, but you can their religion. Why? Because they don't believe something is wrong with that picture. Until we address it and deal with it, we'll continue to be like sheep herded to the slaughter. The Abba didn't awake us to be ignorant, and neither did he allow us to live as long as we've lived, for us to remain in that. There has to come a place and a time where you question what's going on. Everything. There comes a time that you have to question just about everything.
Right.
Question it. Now, the Sharia is nothing more than a condensation and extra in the Quran have an index number. A classic Sharia text is the reliance of the Traveler. That's in Keller Amana Publications. 5 as accurate by 5 of the greatest Islamic scholars, written in the fourth row. Now that's another thing we need to understand: political control of non-Muslims, prayer, Jesus. Why do we need to know about this? You need to know about this because this is what is going to be a Muslim country. You can believe that if you want to, and if you don't, shame on you. And somebody would say, why would you say that? Because in the writings, you must understand, a person that has an ancient hatred, and I've showed you in the writings, these people hate us. Not only are they fighting us other places, but they are about to try to make their main move here in America, because they know we are here too. But see, they have to deal with us from a different level or angle than dealing with those in the East. You have to understand, they have to deal with us over here from a different angle. And so they know how to put things in place and do these things. And that's why now, when you look at it, 08.0 apostasy from Islam, 08.1, when a person who has reached puberty and is sane voluntarily apostatizes from Islam, he deserves to be killed. Bakar 9083:17. A Muslim who has admitted that there is no God but Allah and I am his prophet may not be killed except for 3 reasons: as punishment for murder, for adultery, or for apostasy. Now, the first part I read to you. Now this is where people, especially our people, have to be very careful.